It was 7:45 a.m. The lobby of Grayson Industries buzzed with polished shoes and hurried briefcases. But the noise died instantly when a small voice broke through. "Help, please. My mom's not moving," cried little Sophie, the CEO's 6-year-old daughter, clutching her teddy bear, tears streaking her cheeks. Every executive froze. No one moved. No one knew what to do except one man. A janitor in a faded blue uniform dropped his mop and ran. Within seconds, his name would be on every employee's lips, not as the janitor, but as the man who saved the CEO's life. And what happened after that would change everyone's heart forever. Ethan Cole had worked at Grayson Industries for 4 years. To most people, he was invisible. The man who emptied their bins, mopped their floors, and quietly disappeared before meetings began. But to him, this job was more than a paycheck. It was survival. After losing his wife in an accident and raising his teenage son, Liam, alone, he'd learned to live with dignity, even in silence. Every morning, Ethan came in before dawn. He'd smile at the security guard, nod to the receptionist, and clean the glass doors until they gleamed. He rarely spoke except to Sophie Grayson, the CEO's daughter. She was the only one who ever said, "Good morning, Mr. Ethan," and offered him her little paper drawings. Sometimes she'd sneak down from her mother's office just to talk. Her mom, Victoria Grayson, the CEO, was always too busy, board meetings, investors, deadlines. She loved Sophie deeply, but work had swallowed her life. Ethan often thought, that little girl needs more hugs than money can buy. One morning while polishing the marble floor, Ethan noticed Sophie sitting on a bench, her face pale. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked softly. "She said she'd take me to the park," Sophie whispered, trembling. "But she's been sleeping in her office since last night." Ethan smiled kindly. Maybe she's just tired from working too much. But deep down, something in his chest tightened. He went back to work, but the unease didn't leave him. Moments later, a scream pierced the lobby. It was Sophie running barefoot from the elevator. "Mom's not moving. Please help." Ethan didn't think. He ran past shocked assistants, past frozen security. He burst into the CEO's glass office. Victoria Grayson was slumped over her desk, her phone on the floor, her breathing shallow. Her lips were pale. Ethan's training from years ago, back when he'd served as a volunteer paramedic before tragedy struck, kicked in instantly. He checked her pulse. Weak. "Call an ambulance." Now, he loosened her collar, tilted her head, and began CPR while Sophie sobbed at his side. "Stay with me, Miss Grayson. Come on, breathe." Minutes felt like hours. Then a faint gasp. Victoria coughed, air rushing back into her lungs. She blinked, dazed and trembling. Ethan exhaled in relief, his hands shaking. "Welcome back," he whispered. When the paramedics arrived, they found a crowd outside the office. Executives, managers, assistants, all staring in stunned silence. One whispered, "That janitor just saved her life." But Ethan didn't stay for the praise. He just comforted Sophie, patting her shoulder softly. "She'll be okay, sweetheart. I promise." As the paramedics took Victoria away, Sophie looked up at him and asked through tears, "Will you come with us?" Ethan hesitated but nodded, and that single yes would soon turn both their worlds upside down. At the hospital, Ethan sat quietly in the corner while Sophie held her mother's hand. The doctor said Victoria had suffered a stress-induced cardiac collapse, exhaustion, skipped meals, and relentless pressure. When Victoria woke, her eyes fell on Sophie, and then on Ethan. "You saved me," she whispered. Ethan shook his head humbly. "I just did what anyone should have done, ma'am." But Victoria knew better. No one else had moved. No one else had cared. A few days later, when she returned to the office, everything looked the same, except her. Her assistant mentioned a meeting, but Victoria stopped her. "Cancel it," she said softly. "I have someone I need to thank." She called Ethan to her office. He stood nervously at the door, cap in hand. "Ethan, I realized something," she began. I built a company but forgot to build a life. You reminded me what matters." She handed him an envelope. He frowned. "Ma'am, if this is money." "It's not," she smiled. "It's a promotion. You're no longer just a janitor." Inside the envelope was a letter. Facilities director, a new position created just for him, with full benefits, insurance for his son, and an education grant. Ethan's eyes widened. I, I don't know what to say. Just say you'll keep reminding people here that titles don't define worth, Victoria said warmly. From that day forward, things changed at Grayson Industries. Employees began greeting janitors, security guards, and staff by name. A company-wide program was started, Hearts Behind the Work, recognizing every employee's contribution. But the moment that melted everyone's heart came weeks later. During a company event, Sophie ran up on stage and said into the mic, "Mr. Ethan is my hero. He saved my mommy, and he saved me too." The crowd rose to their feet. Even Victoria had tears in her eyes. Ethan, standing shyly at the back, looked at the little girl and smiled. He didn't need applause. Her words were enough. And from that day, the janitor who once went unseen became the man who changed a company's heart. Sometimes heroes don't wear suits or sit in offices. They carry mops, kindness, and the courage to act when no one else does.